You were about
So-
to say the English block. The ELA block. You said the
We
math
use
block.
Lucy Calkins. It's a format of developing writing.
Mhm.
But with our ELA, so we'll be teaching, directly teaching, but a lot of the content writing will be connected to a project. And so we already know that if I'm already involved in something and then I'm writing about it, I'm gonna have a lot more, it's gonna be a lot more meaningful.
Cass, is that in that, please?
Yeah. Does this help? I don't know if this might be a little bit, whoops.
Sorry.
This might be a little much, but this is the way the 4 projects look right now in each grade level. It doesn't mean that this is exactly what they're gonna be, but this is what they're proposed. So we have exploration of Mars and Earth, so we're doing geology, but we're doing it through the lens of Mars. Aviation weather, and the reason here is this is heavy in the 6th grade standards. This would be high altitude balloon launch using a company called Because Learning. Astronomy through NASA Earth Science Aircraft SOFIA. So this is a mission that I'm connected to. Wait, should I tell you this? No, I shouldn't. So we might have an opportunity with this particular mission that's really cool. Dream Up to Space. This is connected to this person right here, and this is the one where they develop an experiment and it actually has a possibility of being launched to space. Genes in Space is using something called a mini, is this what you want? Do you want me to tell you this, or am I boring the heck out of you?
No, this is good.
Okay.
Yeah,
good.
projects are good. I was just also wanting more detail on the actual curriculum in terms of.
So do you want me to stop here?
No, this is great. This is really
Okay,
interesting.
so keep
Okay,
going?
Well.
Go, am I boring? Go?
This is
Okay,
good.
okay. So Genes in Space uses something called, is a company called Mini PCR. A Mini PCR, so remember when I taught biology, we learned about cells and maybe we did some models, that sort of thing, and then we did some DNA extraction. Well, Mini PCR is actually a DNA replicator, and so our kids will be using that particular, so not only are you learning about cells and DNA, but you're actually gonna do some gene work, and this is a project where they write and it could be run on station, because they have a Mini PCR up on station. We love this company and they love us. Moon and Mars colonization. This is really an awesome project because we're right here on this, happening right now in some primetime space, you probably know that. Birds fly in ecosystems. So looking at, hey, if a bird doesn't have a rudder, a tail, how come planes do? And there's a project out at NASA Armstrong called Prandtl, and we're really connected to that particular group. And that project is around that. Like, what's the difference between birds and planes and why? And why did Wilbur and Orville actually put that on the plane in the first place? Rocketry's here. Dreamcoder is another project connected to Curie Lemack. And this is having to do with, not Arduinos, the other one, Raspberry Pis. And there's a Raspberry Pi up on station. And so again, this is an opportunity to run something on station. Soar Up is our aviation project connected to gliders, where kids actually end up flying. Right now, this just makes me almost weep. We have 11 kids that I'm coaching right now in a small group, and they're all over, and we meet weekly. My husband's doing this with me, and we meet weekly with them to help them move through the process of becoming a pilot. So they're getting flight lessons, but the curriculum or the content that you have to learn is pretty strong. And so that just made my heart so happy that we have that many kids, and P.S., half of them are girls. So that makes me really happy. Okay, and this is a UAV project. A lot of this, too, just so you know, April Lynott, who is the education director over at Wings Over the Rockies and who is also on our board, a lot of these projects we authored together. April got skills that I can't even think of having. She writes curriculum for NASA. So this right here is a product that hasn't even been launched yet by NASA, but she wrote this product. And so also the things that are happening at Wings, we'll have the ability to go over and be involved in those too. So that's really exciting as well.
And within all of those projects, we are still a public school required to teach those core subjects. So our teachers do have what are called standards maps that they will be able to work through.
Can you hang on one second?
Yeah.
I promise I'm not gonna read you because you'll start crying with boredom. But here's one that's dialed down a little bit more. So every one of these projects are dialed down more into activities, assessments, and the differentiation that happens within each project. Now, when we actually go to run these and we start to work with facilitators, they'll even get more dialed down. And what I mean by that is, what does the project map look like over a 6-week period? And they calendar it out. Now, any good teacher knows that I might calendar, but then life will happen and I'm gonna have to change it.
Right.
But what we know is for a project to really move along, you have to have a good idea of what the end result is and your backwards mapping. I'm using a lot of education words, and so I apologize for that. But this is what every one of the projects looks like, and then it has in it this, go ahead,
Beautiful.
I'll walk away.
Content standards map that we do provide to the facilitators and then also to the learners as a way to track the things that they're learning. So we've built into that the Colorado State Standards because we have to teach those, right? So not only will the facilitators be tracking each child individually to make sure that they're meeting all of these standards, but your learners will be tracking that as well. And they'll actually be able to tell you, hey, in this project, I was able to develop, organize, and present ideas and opinions effectively, and this is how I did it. So they will actually be able to articulate to you the things that they're doing in the classroom and how that relates to the standards that they're learning.
There's one other thing I want to say, because I think that you asked a question, and the question would be, well, if a kid comes out of a school like this, where it's project-based learning, is it all fun and games, and then they get to the hard stuff? No. In fact, what I've seen with these kinds of projects is if we know what the state test is going to look like, and if we know that that kid's going to have to sit, you know, how many of you have kids who are sitting right now on a 2-hour test? Do you know? Is that what it's like in Colorado?
Is that what you're doing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
All right.
Oh
It's
my goodness.
an adult. I can barely stand a 2-hour test, and yet that's what is being required. And then there's a modality about it, right? You have to use a computer, right? And you have to know how to use the mouse, and you have to know how to do the fill-in. And so to engage in that, we have to equip our kids with some of the practice to be able to do that well. We will never put our focus only on a test. You can do that. I worked at a school and I could get kids from low to high in a year because the only thing I was doing was helping them hack the test. I had to do that because that was the school I worked at. The reason I came to iLead is because I didn't want to play that game anymore. Now, that doesn't mean that the test isn't important, because it is. And it's important that the kids that leave here are equipped to go into any kind of rigorous situation. So, did I just say something? Is that all right that I just said that? Like
Of
that?
course it is. Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry to say.
You know, I mean, yeah.
Did that help at all?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
And
Any
any
other
other question,
questions?
like if you want to like have a more of an education.
Good.
Oh, yes. Is there a dress code?
No. No. There is no dress code.
You have to wear. You just have to wear
Which I would
clothes
love
now.
Yeah.
to, because
I
it
mean-
has the dress code and it's wonderful.
No dress
so-
code. As long as you
Yes.
come to school
You
and
have to wear
something
clothes.
that you have to wear clothes.
Clothes.
And they
Right.
can't, you can also, I mean, funny, jokey stuff is okay, but nothing inappropriate,
Right.
right? So that's the only.
NASA
It
shirts
can't
are
be
preferred.
anything offensive. NASA shirts, of course, with CSA logos all over them. And we'll probably let you make those, so.
And you know,